Hello, lambs. Welcome back to She's Worthy Ministries. I hope everybody's doing well today. Um, Today, I want to talk about unpacking childhood trauma. So this is a lot. It's a lot to unpack childhood trauma, and it's not something that I can do in one video. So I'm gonna have two parts. Now, before I even get into this video, I want to make it very clear that I think the best way to unpack childhood trauma is to first recognize that you have something to unpack and using the resources in your community to help you sort through that. Besides praying to God about it and leaving it at the foot of the altar, I do think that it's also important that we take action in our own lives and we talk to professionals who can also help us to sort through some of the things that we're dealing with. But what I kind of wanted to talk about is just ways that you can kind of work with yourself to begin to understand, even if you have childhood trauma that you feel needs to be unpacked. Because sometimes if we have no self-awareness, we're not really aware of the things that we need to do to become better people. And so I wanted to ask a couple questions that you could answer on your own to kind of see if you do have healing and abandonment wounds that you wanted to work through. So the first thing I wanted to ask is is there any times in your childhood where you felt abandoned or neglected? When did you feel abandoned or neglected, and kind of what happened? What was the experience that affected your emotions or affected your behaviors or made you do this particular thing? Insert that thing there that maybe you feel is negative or disruptive to your now and your future. So asking yourself, when did you first feel abandoned, and how did those feelings affect your emotions and behaviors? Okay. The next thing I wanted to ask is, so based on those things that happened, do you feel that that still affects your life today? Do you see how those things that made you feel abandoned or neglected, do you see in your everyday life today ways in which that abandonment and neglect shows up? Like, how does it affect? Does it affect your current relationships? Does it affect how you feel about yourself? And if it does, how does it affect your current now? The other thing I wanted to ask was, okay, based on those things that might have affected you, that might have made you feel abandoned or neglected, what would you say to your younger self today about that abandonment? So this abandonment happened. You're reflecting now as the person you are today. You've learned all of these things. Based on these things that you've learned, what would you say to your younger self about that abandonment? And what do you think that you could do today that would give yourself the comfort and the love that you didn't get then? Like, what could you use today in this time and space? Or what do you need today in this time and space to be able to push past that feeling of abandonment? Like, what does somebody need to say to you? What do you need to say to yourself? What actions do you need to take that will help you to release that abandonment and neglect that you felt at that time? So that's it. I just wanted to give you some prompts, and I wanted you to kind of think about these questions. It might be helpful to write down the answers so that you can refer back to them and continue to work through some of these answers. And my next video, I will finish the rest. I'll ask the rest of the questions to kind of help you to move from, okay, now that you know that what the abandonment wounds were. And now that you kind of understand how it's affecting your life today and what you need to do to make those changes, how do we make the shift? So stay tuned for that video. And I hope these prompts and these questions have kind of helped you to kind of see where you're at today and to identify some of the things that help make you you and what needs to be changed. So remember, the Lord calls you very worthy.